Hey everybody, I am back with another movie review, and as I mentioned in previous videos, I will be doing all the month of April. You know, since this is going to be my birth month, I want to do something special, and it's going to be heavy with Superman reviews. So I just finished a Superman comic book review for called Superman for All Seasons, which should be on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. Please leave a like, follow me in the links in the description below, my Twitter, YouTube, really appreciate it. Uh, hit the like button, all that stuff. And now I'll be covering one of the greatest films of all time, Superman the movie, directed by Richard Donner. And there's always been some debate whether or not like the Donner cut is better than the theatrical cut. I can go either way with this, but I usually watch the Donner cut. And God, this movie is so good. But before we continue, we gotta start off right. Uh, one of the greatest theme songs of all time. You know, it's like I put like Superman theme song as the tippy top. Then you got like the Pokemon theme song, Mortal Kombat theme song, and Sailor Moon. And it's like the tippy top of theme songs of all time. Can't be beaten, honestly. And of course, you got like the X-Men theme song, the '90s X-Men theme song, of course. And then of course you got the Spider-Man the animated series theme song and the Batman animated series theme song, of course. They up there as well. But like Superman theme is just, orchestrated by God, I just blanked on his doggone name that fast. God, John Williams? I feel like I'm John Williams. I know I got it right. I'm second guessing myself. Anyway, uh this movie came out in December of 1978, and it had like a budget of $55 million. For that time, was like the biggest budget film ever, and it grossed $300 million in the box office. I'm pretty sure that's worldwide. It, yeah, of course, it's like insane. By inflation, by today's numbers, that'll definitely be like well over a billion, probably in the double digits of a billion, because it's that good. It's like insane. Let's see. Yeah. It won Best Visual Effects uh, at the Academy Awards. At the British Academy Film Awards, it won uh, Most Promising Newcomer to Leading Film Roles, Outstanding British Contribution to Cinema Award. For the Saturn Awards, it won Best Science Fiction Film, Best Actress, Best Music, Best Special Effects. Uh, I'm pretty sure it's in the, archive. What do you call those things? The crap. Crap. What do you call those things? And they put those, certain movies in like in like those special like historical archives of best films of all time. Crap. What do you call those things? Um. Crap. Uh, well, you know what I'm trying to get at. Is this one of those historical films of all time? Blanking on the freaking title of it. At the pretty sure it's Washington D.C. God, it's in my mind. I'm trying to yank the word out. Crap. Uh, come on, get the word out. I'm blanking on that dog. Like what you call this thing. Uh. So the S or P. Crap. But you know what I'm getting at. God, I'm gonna kill me because I'm gonna remember it later. But on the many posters at that time, you see like, won't you will believe a man can fly, and the flying effects. I don't know. I think it's pretty dope for the time. Some might say it is okay, but nobody can say it was terrible. Honestly, it was for the time. It was astonishing. Of course, over time we just gotten better at it in terms of flying mechanics. Well, depends on who you ask, but I say we gotten a little bit better, little by little, over time. Anyway, this movie, like I said, is directed by Richard Donner, and of course, you know, let's not forget that Superman was based on the creation of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Marlon Brando, who plays Jor-El from the planet Krypton, or in his words, Krypton, who to this day always bothers me. And of course, is, you know, Marlon Brando. Nobody's going to bother to correct Marlon Brando, but it's just like a God, it's just, it gives me a twitch because he's just like, it's not how you freaking say it. It's like saying like symbiote, and of course they have to dub that over after so many people complained about that, because I don't even know if you even call it a complaint. It's like a reasonable, like, you know, issue. It's not one of those things that, yeah, I kind of agreed. It's like, it's not how you pronounce it. It's not like, you know, the whole situation, the gray area between vase and vase, or saying Ryu or Ryu. It's not one of those gray areas with those. It's, you know, symbiote, and it's Krypton. It's how you pronounce it. It's no gray area with that. That's why it bothers so many people. And so when I hear like him pronouncing Krypton, it's like, that's not how you freaking say it. God, it bothers me. Sorry, it's gotta get it off my chest, because it's like, oh my God, why? Well, couldn't dub that over in like the DVD releases or something like that over these years. Anyway, then of course you got Gene Hackman playing Lex Luthor, which, like I said many times, that Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor is like the worst one I ever seen in my entire life. It's like, you know, it's piss squeak of a little son more so than the actual Lex Luthor, because Michael Rosenbaum arguably is probably like the best live action Lex Luthor that we have ever. Gene Hackman is very good as well, but in terms of like animated one, it's the Superman animated series version of Lex Luthor, voiced by the Mr. Krabs actor. I'm blanking on his name, but he's very good. Like, you know, those are like the best Lex Luthors ever. Now, of course, the actor who played Young Beast in X-Men First Class, he's playing Lex Luthor in the new Superman film, helmed by I'm thinking a lot of names today, James Gunn. And of course, like, I have faith in him more so than Jesse freaking Eisenberg. I'm sorry. It's like, you turn a bad casting, man. That was god awful. But Gene Hackman played an amazing Lex Luthor of this era. Of course, you got the late great Christopher Reeve playing Clark Kent Superman. And there was stuff, reports behind the scenes where he literally went to like a local bar or a diner or something dressed in costume, and everybody was just like astonished about, like, this dude's dressing like a Superman costume or something like that. And then another day he comes dressed as Clark Kent and nobody paid attention to him, and nobody clearly did not recognize him. I guess testing out the duality of trying to make sure like nobody can actually, because I will get there, but Christopher Reeve did an impressive, and he's still to this day the gold standard of a Superman, and everybody seemingly just playing catch up with him. Everybody who ever played Superman after him is essentially not necessarily have to be him, but he set the bar, and everybody just trying to do their own take on Superman. But he's like the blueprint they have to look at in order to try to, use it as like a stepping stone to try to figure out how to do their own thing. And Christopher Reeve, man, he was like a pillar of an actor. And literally, like, if you see him in interviews, he carries the essence of Clark Kent and Superman through and through. Even after the accident he had, and even on his gravestone, I'm pretty sure they, he makes sure that his headstone had the Superman logo engraved on it. It's like, that's how much he embodied the character. You get something like that with Wolverine, Hugh Jackman with Wolverine, Margot Robbie with Harley Quinn, Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool. It's just like people really take the heart of the character that they embody, and it's not like something like other actors, like Jennifer Lawrence with Mystique, and getting pissy about it, later on after the fact. And it's like, I'm not saying like she wasn't appreciative, but it's like, if I get hired to play a superhero, like, someone like, even with John Cena with Peacemaker, it's like he shows up in his costume in a lot of places when, like, red carpets or interviews and something like that. And it's like, gotta respect that. It's like, you are hired to be playing a well-known character, or may not as well known as like Peacemaker, but you own it and you respect it, and like people will love you for it. Now there's so many Peacemaker stuff up in DC right now because of John Cena, and it's, and he voices the character even in the Mortal Kombat DLC thing, and it's like, I respect that so much. Instead of like getting pissy about oh, the makeup, oh, it's like, oh, the hours, or it's like how much I gotta sit in the chair to do it. It's like, look, I can sympathize to a certain extent as an actor, but I'm not on the role. I'm gonna, like, do my due diligence to respect the character I'm embodying, even as a voice actor. It's like, I'm carrying on as this character. I don't care how minor or mid or high tier the character will be. I was gonna, like, through and through on interviews and stuff like that. I'm gonna, wear merch, whatever, because that's my character. That is me. I'm representing that character. And it's so rare. I won't say it's rare, but it's like not as frequent to see actors really enjoying the character that they're playing. And literally, you have John Cena wearing that costume. I'm pretty sure wearing that helmet is not very comfortable, but he owns that freaking thing. Or it's like, not like Harrison Ford, which I love Han Solo and Indiana Jones and everything like that. But it's like, God, kill me off right now attitude. And it's like, you say that way back during like the original trilogy. And it's like, dude, you was a healthy young man. Of course, like, you didn't know that thing was going to be like as big as a hit as it turned out to be. But still, it's like, dude, that was your character. You embody that thing. People love you for that, recognize you for that, for the all ends of time. And it's like, it drives me nuts when people complain about that. Anyway, getting off track. You got Jeff East playing like a young teenage Clark Kent. You got Ned Beatty as Otis. Jackie Cooper as Perry White. Glenn Ford as John Kent. Trevor Howard as the first elder of Krypton. Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, which, God, she is cute. And like, I love this version of Lois Lane. I love the animated series Lois Lane in terms of like them being my favorite interpretations of Lois Lane of all time. I like the actress from Smallville who played Lois Lane fine, but I don't know, it's just like those other two just like set a high bar. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. They've done an incredible job. We got Valerie Perrine as Eve Tessmacher. But of course, then you got the Phantom Zone enemies that we'll see in the sequel. Terrence Stamp playing the incredible General Zod. Kneel before me, son of Jor-El. Maria Skull as Von Ah. In the comics is the love interest of General Zod. And Jack O'Halloran as Non, the large mute third Kryptonian villain in the trio. Mark McClure as Jimmy Olsen, which, by the way, this actor didn't even realize that was the older brother of Marty McFly in the Back to the Future movie. Didn't even realize that until very recently. And of course, Phyllis Thaxter as Martha Kent. Oh no, Ursa, Sarah Douglas Ursa. That's the second in command love interest of General Zod. I'm sorry. That Von Ah is like the other Kryptonian scientist. I'm sorry, I flip-flopped. Ursa. Anyway, the movie opens like a kid reading like an old Superman comic. Then it's like you're, you know, the camera pans into the theater screen, into deep space, and you get the amazing intro of all time where you just can't help but just want to watch. Normally people want to skip through the credits to get to the, you know, story already, but this is one of those rare moments where, especially if you've seen the movie before already, you want to skip through like the opening credits and stuff, because they usually don't have much to the opening, except for like a rare few like the Deadpool movie. But here it's like you're one just to envelop yourself into the musical theme as you're flying through space heading towards Krypton, and you see all those text of names flying in the air. You're just super into this movie now. I mean, it's like within 2 minutes you're already sucked into the movie and you're eager. I can't imagine people's feeling in the movie theater at that time, seeing the Superman movie in the theaters for the first time. It must have been wild. Anyway, so we see Jor-El and the Council, you know, sentencing General Zod and his cronies to the Phantom Zone because of them trying to usurp everybody and rule. And of course, we get the iconic line, "You will now bow for me, son of Jor-El. First you, then your ass." Of course, when Michael Sheen, the guy who played, you know, Zod in the Man of Steel film, he did his own little thing for like, I will find him, doesn't work the same way as kneel before me. It's General Zod's thing. He has to say kneel before Zod. That is his thing. It's just God. It's just over time I gotten used to the whole. I will find him, but it just doesn't roll off the tongue the same way as kneel before Zod. Anyway, after they get sent to the final zone, we won't see them until the next film. But here, Zod is talking with the council about the impending doom of Krypton, and it will be coming soon, and we should be planning an evacuation. And of course, they blow it off like it's like he's a global warming conspiracy theorist kind of guy. So they say that, you know, if he and his wife try to leave the planet, they will see that as an act of treason and will bring him up on charges. So he agrees that he and his wife will not leave the planet. So he kept true to his word. He and his wife won't leave the planet. Didn't say anything about his kid. So they, of course, placed baby Kal-El into the pod, which ever since the movie, there's been many different interpretations of what like Superman's little pod looked like, you know, in various forms. It doesn't look like an actual ship. It looks like just like a big giant ice ball. I kind of want to look like an actual mini ship rocket. But anyway, they leave recording crystals inside for future Clark to use, and leave it little info dumps inside the pod and everything like that. And they say their goodbyes. You hear that kind of line from Jor-El. It's like, I see your life through my eyes as you will see yours through mine, kind of thing. It's really deep. And I will get to it in Superman Returns, and I think that movie gets a bad rap. I think people like it more over time, but it still has its issues here and there. I enjoyed it. I think it was like a great successor to the Christopher Reeve version of Superman, and Brandon Routh really embodies that interpretation. He even replays that role in the Crisis on Infinite Earths CW crossover. Like a combination of Christopher Reeve, Superman Return, Kingdom Come type of Superman. He does an incredible job, and it's like he did his darn good best at his version of Superman. I think like he deserves his mark on the world as Superman more so than the Atom, in my personal opinion. So, but we'll get into that once we get into it. But he actually reiterates that same line from his father. But I don't want to spoil too much. Of course, you should have saw Superman Returns years ago, but I'll save it. But anyway, so as the baby rocket is, blasting from Krypton into space on the trajectory towards Earth, the planet's core is erupting, and everybody's like, of course, the suits, by the way, the Kryptonian little suits kind of reminds me of something from Tron, the first movie, because they're very neon glowy. Of course, during filming, they don't glow like that, but when you see on the camera, it gives off a glow, which is something I only recently found out myself. But everything's come crashing down. Fissures open up and earthquakes happening, or Krypton plates, or Krypton quakes, or quakes, or whatever, is opening up, and everything's falling down. The whole planet is dying. Of course, we know later that Supergirl will show up, in her own little movie, but I don't think it wasn't any real crossover between Christopher Reeve and that version of Supergirl, because when Supergirl movie came out, which I heard was really bad, but it was long after Christopher Reeve has his little horse riding accident, so we couldn't do any proper crossover. Of course, then you get like a, to some people's point of view, a bastardization of Superman and the actress who played Kara Zor-El, which, by the way, the actress who played her is still much alive, and you know, she's old, but she still looks pretty good for her age. You know, there's no reason why she couldn't do any little bit of a de-aging here and there. It might look a little choppy because de-aging isn't refined, but you could have gotten away with it in the Flash movie. But I'm not too bothered by it, because you're doing some kind of like, you know, cameo appearances with, you know, multiverse stuff with this Flash film, which is, you know, the DC properties were the first ones to do it. It's cool to see them. Cool to see Nick Cage's Superman. We never really got the chance to see because it was canceled, but the idea was scrapped. But once again, Nicolas Cage is very much alive, and you can very much pull that off with him. But it was still cool to see that we'll never thought we would have been alive to see that in real life. But you know, as much crap people give with the Flash movie, it gave us stuff that we never thought we was able to see. Even little homages to George Reeves' Superman, even though the family didn't really give consent to that, which was crappy on DC's part and Warner Brothers' part. But we get little moments with like Adam West's world Batman, or even like the OG Flash of Jay Garrett's Flash a little bit. So it's still kind of dope, and I can't knock it because still got a thrill out of it. I'm not as butthurt about multiverse stuff as many other people. I can understand their feelings because I'm a little off tangent here, but it's just like MCU was already in the middle of doing it, but it's just so much of a happenstance that, you know, these people, these execs and everybody's in the same, you know, lunch rooms and everything like that, and of course they all talk, so of course they're going to be seeing a lot of the same stuff from time to time. But just so happens when the MCU is starting to do Loki and multiverse stuff, right then you get Everywhere All at Once popping up, and it won all this accolades. Then you see like a spiraling with everybody else, because it's a popular thing. They want to make money. It's making money. You know, they want to do it. You know, whether they have like an actual story involved regarding it, you know, that's debatable. But I can't knock it because I think the multiverse stuff is fascinating. It's still fascinating, and I still like it because I still like the multiverse saga of the MCU. You just gotta make sure you have like a thorough line and, you know, have a reason for it, not just to throw it in there. Which from time to time, you know, they haven't been doing like a good job with the whole through line situation to connect them all. But I still like it. It still got some. You still can do something with it. Don't throw it away. But I already had like a separate video talking about that, I think. Anyway, so the ship crash lands, the Krypton blows up, ship crash lands to Earth, Kansas, and Jonathan and Martha Kent sees the ship, finds the small child there, and see he has powers. Flash forward years later when Clark is like 18 at this time, and of course he's treated like the outcast because, you know, I kind of attribute it to like the Smallville show where Clark wants to be able to do certain things, but the parents won't allow him because they don't want him being found out by anybody that he has any abilities, because they can easily tell somebody and the government will just take Clark and do all kinds of god-awful stuff. So he pretty much had to keep to himself a lot. But we see a young Annette O'Toole who will play Martha Kent in the Smallville show. And of course, he's playing Lana Lang here. And so he of course has a little bit of attraction for her, but we don't see her again until Superman 3, which is on the list for me to review, nor is Quest for Peace either, because those are hot garbage. But if you leave a comment below that you really want me to actually review those, I'll put on a list for me to review later on in the year, possibly. But anyway, so the jocks are giving Clark a hard time about clearing up. You can't come with us to hang out, Clark, because you got to clean up all this mess. So of course he cleans up in quick succession, and he runs and towards, because they happen to be passing. They're gonna be happen to be passing by Clark's house when they bump into him already, which they can't explain how he beat them at that section. Anyway, as he's running, he's passing faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive thing. You see this awkward run, like he's lifting off the ground almost, and he's doing like the whole bicycle movement of his legs. Is more awkward. Well, I'll say it's more awkward than like the choppy hand movements that you see Grant Gustin Flash do all the time. But then as she's, running past the train, you see like little cameo appearances of the, old school Superman and Lois Lane from the black and white little specials, Atom Man versus Superman and Adventures of Superman series or film serials. But you also, because that old version of Clark and Lois Lane are playing with the parents of a young Lois Lane, which can be, if you think about it too hard, it can be very awkward, because here at this point in time, Clark is an 18-year-old teen, while Lois here, if I can give like a very generous 13 years old, not as awkward, because Clark will probably be like in his late 20s by the time he's working at Daily Planet, while Lois will probably be in her early to mid 20s. So I guess not as awkward, but the actors themselves, I've found out, like at that time, Margaret Kidder is, like definitely was older than Christopher Reeve at that time. So do with that what you will. Anyway, everybody's shocked to see Clark standing by across the street from his house. It's like, how you get here? Man, you're so weird. And they drive off. And of course, the dad's looking on and seeing this goes on, and he gives his son a hug, and it's like, and Clark is just like upset, because like, like guys like that Brad make me so angry, but sometimes I want to rip them apart, but I know I can't. I know it's wrong, but I got so much stuff I can do. But I know like I shouldn't be showing off, but it's just showing off of a bird with wings can fly. A bird with wings is showing off it can if it flies. It's like, how's me doing what a bird does any different? And he's telling his son, it's like I know like, no, it's not showing off. I know it's not fair, and you can do these amazing stuff, Clark, and when you show it to the world, it's gonna be like something amazing. But you're meant for this world for more than just kicking a football. I don't know what it is yet, but I know it's gonna be something amazing. And it's like, it's a heartfelt and heartbreaking little scene here, where Clark getting this kind of reassurance from his father, because he, this is, well, I could say, John Snyder's version of the live action Jonathan Kent in Smallville show for me, is the best Jonathan Kent in ever, honestly, because we get so much more of him. This one is great too, for the little bit that we have, but definitely leaps and bounds better than Kevin Costner's version of Jonathan Kent in Man of Steel, who gives the exact opposite of advice than we would expect from a Jonathan Kent would. It's so weird how you would go with that, and knowing full well that Kevin Costner is an incredible actor, never lost a step over the years, but it's just like he could have done the exact same kind of stuff that we've seen from this interpretation of Jonathan Kent and the Smallville version of Jonathan Kent. You're gonna easily do that with Kevin Costner, but you chose not to. You give such different takes on him, trying to be not edgy, but it's like doing my own spin on it, but it's the wrong spin. I'm sorry, you didn't have test audience or something like that saying like, this is kind of weird from Jonathan Kent, and then it's like telling Clark not to. We'll get to it, trust me. Man of Steel is on the list, but it's like telling your son not to save you from, you get it, because there's people around, you don't want his son showing off his powers in front of everybody. It's not the time kind of situation, but it's still so weird, or at least could have handled it a little bit better. Like here, this Jonathan Kent has a heart attack, which we've seen John Snyder's version of Jonathan Kent also having a heart attack. It's something that means a lot, because here Clark is wrecked because and he says the line at the funeral, without my powers, I couldn't save him. And that wrecks him. But it sets the tone of who he is as a superhero, that he can't do everything. There are limits to his power. And he has to learn that. And it's the toughest lesson he had to learn by losing a father figure. And they could have done the exact same thing in Man of Steel, because Clark can save people from a tornado. It's not impossible for him. We've seen it many times, in many iterations, in many comic books. So it's kind of dumb. They could have done something different where John loses his life in something that Clark could not prevent. I don't know. It is really, really dumb. But anyway, so Clark hears some kind of noise coming from the barn. He sees like the buried ship that he was carried in. You would think that the parents would have showed him like years ago. It was like it's the first time he's seeing this or something. But he sees like a glowing green crystal, which when I was a little kid, I'm thinking that's kryptonite. Why is he manhandling like that? Like it's not making him weak. Maybe, I don't know why. Maybe it's just happened to be green and it's kind of unique to, like, it's supposed to be the seed to birth his Fortress of Solitude. But as a kid, it always kind of annoyed me. It's like, maybe that's not kryptonite, but it's kind of weird that you have a green colored crystal that would easily be interpreted to be kryptonite, that you just have Clark manhandle. Anyway, he tells his mother he has to go because there's a calling to him that he needs to go up north. He says his goodbyes. He goes up to Superman. Some people say it's Alaska, but most iterations it's the North Pole. That's where Superman's Fortress of Solitude is supposed to be. So he throws the crystal. It bursts the Fortress of Solitude. He goes inside. He gets one of the crystals that house the recording, a live recording of his birth father, Jor-El, who organized it to be able to answer any amount of questions that Clark might have, especially about his backstory, who he is, the historical stuff about his planet, and teaching him about his powers, all the other stuff. And it took like a decade, and eventually, after all that learning, he's prepared for the world as Superman. And of course, we still don't give a good close-up shot of him just yet. So you see like a little bit of a tease as he's, leaping off and about to fly, but you don't see the full flight. So then it cuts to Metropolis, where we meet all the supporting cast like Lois Lane, Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and mind you, in this film, Lois Lane asked at least brought up 5 times about some misspelling. You're a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist in many iterations of DC Comics. You should be able to spell. I'm not saying like you couldn't, make a mistake here and there, but in this, in terms of this film, it happens 5 times, and it's like a person running a brewery that you have to be able to concoct alcohol, and you don't know your basic chemistry. It's kind of weird, you know? It's like being an artist, but you mess up your shading. If you guess my drift, is certain things that you're in a field that you should be able to handle the basic stuff that's the building blocks of that field. It's kind of weird. But we meet up with mild-mannered Clark Kent, and I want to bring up here that Christopher Reeve does an incredible job of, it's just subtle tweaks of just his body language. As an actor, you learn that kind of stuff if you want to portray a particular character that has certain quirks. And I ain't talking about My Hero Academia type of quirks either. And it's just like, it's subtle changes. It doesn't need to be exaggerated. It's little tweaks that makes all the difference in the world. Where it's like these big, and people think, growing up, it's always like, oh, you just wear glasses and all of a sudden nobody recognizes them. And it's not just the glasses. It's how you carry it and how you wear it. It's the mask. That is the mask. Superman is actually him. That's who he really is. And it's just like the hunches and the pushing up the thing and the little awkward stuff and just the subtle cadence of his voice, and it's kind of dweebish kind of thing. Oh, sorry, Lois. Well, you better shuffle on. And then you see that later in the middle of the film, the second act, and he just was Lois in the bathroom, and he takes off his glasses and he just stand up straight and just correct his posture, and it's like it's just that subtle transformation. Is like, that's Superman. And the whole glasses thing, I gotta admit, there's at least a couple people I knew from my in my past that I would not they, for the longest while, they always wear contacts, and one time somebody wore their glasses because some issue with their contacts, and I did not recognize them off rip until somebody brought it to my attention. And matter of fact, the actor who played Mon-El in the Supergirl TV show, who started doing the whole secret identity thing and walking down the street with Kara, who also does the whole glasses thing, I didn't even recognize him until like a minute or two into that scene, and it's like, oh my god, the whole Clark Kent thing worked, because like I completely forgot who that freaking dude was. I was like, God, it's all the difference. It's just the it's not just the glasses, it's how you carry yourself with those glasses. And you get like the whole warm and fuzzies with this guy. This guy is a genuinely nice character, and it's like you get the the just people these day and age are too cynical. Some people, not everybody, but just like they can't fathom somebody being this good. Where you just the scene where it's like he asked Perry to make sure half of each of his paychecks gets sent to his to the address of his mother, and Lois points out, oh, let me guess, he sends half of his money to his sweet blue-haired old mother. Actually, she severed hair, and it's just like that look everybody gives him. It's like, It's like, wow. It's like this dude this is not like a, you know, like a ruse. He's very genuine in his statements. Like, actually see over here, it's just like he's genuine. Like, God, you're just like insufferably nice. He's insufferably nice. It's like a real good person. And it's just like with Captain America. You just want to be your best around this person. And it's like you'll follow them to the depths of hell if they ask for your help. It's because those are that guys. They're just genuinely people. You know, they have their flawed moments. They're not perfect. But it's just the fact that in the face of that flawness, in the face of that adversity, they still do what they can to push through despite all that stuff. And it just gives you that level of inspiration just like no other. And he actually used the word swell, which I rarely use. Sometimes I catch myself using the word swell when no other word can emphasize the situation that I'm trying to express, and swell just pops out of my mouth, and I'm just, as soon as it leaves my mouth, I'm thinking to myself, I never really used this word in my life. I don't know why I used the word swell, but I used it to define the situation that I'm expressing. And then you see like the moment where, like, you know, they about to get mugged, and of course, like, he you know, swiftly stops the bullet when is fired off, and he pretends to faint. And he said, I love the little subtle keys to the Superman theme, as he's like, you know, subtly doing like a Superman thing. And of course, because he doesn't always have to be in, he's always Superman. Just like Bruce Wayne is always Batman. He doesn't need to be in costume in order to do that. We saw that with like Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne in BVS, where he's in the beginning of the movie running towards the smoke during this collateral situation happening with Superman fighting Zod. And you see that even in Batman Forever, where Harvey is taking over this circus and holding everybody hostage until Batman shows up, and he's willingly, but you know, not to his advantage, but he stands up fruitlessly and just shouts like, Harvey, I'm Batman. He's just, damn the secret identity, because lives are at stake. Damn the secret identity at this point. And it's like they're always in superhero mode, but doesn't really need to be in costume all the time for something as minor as this. He can just do something subtle, like, you know, pretend to fall over as he subtly casts the bullet so it won't hit Lois. And then it's like, you know, it's a shame that, you know, it's kind of like foolhardy to, you know, do what you did, Lois. Like, all for like $20 a lipstick and blah blah blah. It's like, you just listed the exact contents of my purse. Oh, lucky guess, I guess. It's kind of fun. It's just the actors involved in this film are so charming and so good at what they do. Then you meet up with Lex Luthor and his supporting cast with Miss Tessmacher and Otis, and of course they've been, you know, Otis being followed by a cop or a detective, and Lex just like is being followed by Otis. Otis goes inside like the secret hatch, and you know, Luthor just organizes like the hatch to push the cop away to on an oncoming train, which Miss Tessmacher is just disgusted by. It's like, you're working with this dude, and you've probably seen him kill a bunch of people before. Why is this bothering you now? Or like, why is this news to you now? You're all in it at this point. It's just like with Wilson Fisk's wife, Vanessa. It's like you see him blowing out a bunch of buildings in Hell's Kitchen, and it's like, you're all in it now. You're not even bothered to like try to run or call the police, or even it'll be fruitless, but still, it's like what kind of life you live where you just okay with just potentially a lot of people losing their lives? Anyway, of course, Luthor is planning the crime of the century kind of situation, which of course, if you watch his movies, is trying to uh, gain land property that he will immediately claim as his own and use to make a profit. Because, as he said, stocks can rise and fall, blah blah blah, but people always will want land. But then, while they're hatching their plan, Lois is sent on an assignment to meet up with Air Force One via the helicopter on top of the Daily Planet. Even though the Daily Planet, in a lot of cases, don't have a helipad, especially with the big giant globe on top of it. But whatever. There's a malfunction with the helicopter. The pilot is knocked unconscious. There's a danger of falling. This is where we finally get, Clark chancing into Superman. And of course, the Donner cut you see is like the phone booth, harken to like the old days where Superman always changed in the phone booths. But it's only half of a phone booth, not really functional for the transformation. So he goes through a revolving door really fast and changes into his costume. And you get the whole 70s, black man. He's like, man, that's a bad outfit. Woo! I guess it's kind of like that movie's interpretation of the kids, like, I like your outfit. Thanks, my mom made it for me, kind of moment. But I do always like it when Superman changes his, into his clothes in intricate ways, because you can't do the phone booth thing no more, but you can do other stuff like going through revolving doors or hover down an elevator shaft to change into the suit and comes out on the other side fully dressed. If I was writing for Superman, I would always incorporate him changing into his costume in crazy unique ways in certain places, because that's half the fun, in my opinion, to see that. Because he can do it so fast, he can pull it off. No other than maybe the Flash, but he got those rings where it carries the suit inside, so you don't get that with him. But with Superman, it's usually him that pulls that off. So let me get some wet my whistle here. So we finally get the display of the full suit, which I'm pretty sure in the theaters at that time, people lost their freaking minds. Like, oh my God, he's, we get the full display of Superman's suit, and I love this suit. In terms of Superman suits over the years, this one is pretty high tier. I think Man of Steel suit, I give it like a B tier, because I think it's kind of roughly like trying to do the whole New 52 suit, which I really hate. I like the super trunks. I don't care. It's supposed to, because there's a solid blue outfit. It's too much blue. You need like that breakaway of a color, and that's what like the underpants supposed to do. And for a while in DC Rebirth, they had that underwear still gone, but subtly bringing it back into the fold. So now we back to the trunks, because that's what we remember with Superman. Weird without the trunks. I think I like the Superman Returns suit. I think that's a B as well, but higher B than the no underpants suit. But man, like the Christopher Reeve Superman suit is pretty high. And of course, it's like the 90s comic accurate Superman suit that we all remember. Pretty S tier. Anyway, Superman saves Lois and the helicopter with the pilot inside, and she asks, "Who are you?" "Just a friend." He flies off. She faints, and so you see Superman, rescuing a lot of people, stopping bad guys, which is fun. And you get this awkward moment where he saves a cat out of a tree for this little girl, and she runs inside to tell her mom about the crazy thing she just saw. And it's like, how many times I told you not to lie? And then you hear her literally back against the kid, and it's like, whoa, it is like, Jesus, for what kind of lies has she telling before that you get that you reach your peak at this point that you was sick of it? Like, I don't know, but that is like extreme. And it's like, Superman, I know you got super hearing, you didn't hear that crap? It's like, that always bothered me to this day. That's still bothering. Like, why'd you hit that kid for? Then you say, Superman saved Air Force One from crashing down because after the engine got blew out by a lightning bolt. Everybody's just like astonished to see this guy doing all these amazing feats that's inhumanly possible. And of course, at the bullpen, Clark subtly sends a letter to Lois, signed "A Friend," to meet her, because everybody's wondering who this guy is. And this is what Superman's been prepared for, because as soon as he was going to make his full debut, he needs to be able to assure people that, he's not here to conquer, or, nobody should be able to be afraid of him, kind of thing. It was put their mind at ease. So he trusts Lois. So as Superman, he visits her to answer her questions. And you get this cool dynamic between these two actors, and it's really charming. And I still like using this line where it's like, she asks him, does he have a girlfriend? No, Miss Lane, but if I did, you would be the first to know. I used that line in high school. That is like a very smooth line to this day. And here's the thing. I know he's, all about honesty, but it was pretty, and it's still to this day, pretty idiotic of him to just list off his list of strengths and weaknesses, like not be able to see through lead, and it's like, dude, shut up. You don't want every criminal in the world to be able to exploit any weakness that you just willingly give out. It is really, I was like, I like Superman, but it's probably like a dumb decision. Not as dumb as spinning the earth around backwards to reverse time, but still pretty dumb. Then, she, asks what's like to fly, and he's like, well, why don't you join me? And she agrees, and they have this nice moment of Superman flying in the air with Lois. And here comes the awkward moment to this day, where you hear Margaret Kidder narrate the scene with like a poem, which originally was supposed to be like an actual song at this moment, kind of like a Aladdin Whole New World kind of vibe, if you know what I mean. But it just didn't fit, so they went with like a poetic kind of narration, which still, I don't think anybody really likes. It kind of doesn't ruin the moment, but it's like, you could take that out and it's perfectly fine. You don't need to, because the whole scene speaks for itself. Like I said, yeah, you could just take it out. It's not egregious, but it's like not really needed. So he flies her back. She's just swooning at this point. He says goodbyes, he flies away, and then here comes the Clark knocking on the door. And he was very close to telling her, but then he kind of like relents and, goes back on it, because he feels like she's not ready. Like, I don't think I'm ready, kind of situation. And then she, at this moment, dubs him Superman. Because Lois Lane, in all iterations, was the one to be able to name this iconic hero. And by the way, to this day, it still irks me that we get, because 20 years later, we get Michael Keaton Batman, and of course, Christopher Reeve was already in like the wheelchair situation at the time, but man, it would have been awesome to have Christopher Reeve and Michael Keaton, Superman, Batman, to do like a world's finest kind of situation, because those two like are like the pinnacle of these live action characters. You know, they the gold standard in terms of voice actors. You know, those are probably like the gold standard, but live action, they are the gold standard. And man, we missed out on something, you know, legitimately great by having those two act off each other. They are like, they're really good. And then Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. Hell, those are like the trinity of like awesome Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. So, now Luthor is like annoyed because now it's like, well, he's trying to pull off this scheme by sabotaging these missiles that's going to be delivered towards this army base. It's like, when Superman can be able to stop him, so we need to get him out of the way. So they find out about, which is kind of like almost like a shot in the dark. There's no way this would have been a good guess unless Superman divulged this himself, which he did not. But you know, it's like, oh, the planet Krypton, which is like at this point in the galaxy, and so the debris would have probably been irradiated, and some of those fragments would have landed on Earth. And it's like, wow, you're doing a lot of guessing games with that. And the fact that it'd be irradiated and he'll be susceptible to that. That is a big guess. He turns out to be right. Like, trying to get to the point kind of thing. They expect him to use kryptonite, so they just have him. Which is fine, but it's like sending me from planet Earth to another planet as Earth explodes and chunks of rock is irradiated, and you know, it hurts me on a different planet. It's just like, you never see that in any other iteration when somebody's, because plenty of comics that have somebody's planet explode and nobody used like a chunk of that old world to hurt the person from it. That's just kind of a stretch. Anyway, so Luthor organizes this little high-pitched squeal only animals and Superman should be able to hear. So Superman leaves as he changes out the window, which obviously why did anybody see that as he's falling out the window and making a quick change, which is almost like a not like seeing him actually pull off tires in a rapid succession or whatever. It's just like his shirt disappears and his cape there, and then his pants disappear and his pants and red boots are there. And it's like, that's kind of lazy, but whatever. Ironic, they have a 55 million budget, but you know, that's the transition. So Superman, you know, goes under the ground, finds a secret hideout, and he meets up with Lex Luthor for the first time. And Luthor tells him about his grand plan, and you get this awesome moment with, like, you know, his little map of what it will be like under his rule, and one of it is like Otisburg. Yeah, Otisburg is still to this day I like saying that line. And matter of fact, if you play the Batman Arkham games, there's a little section of the city that like a neighborhood or a section of the city literally called Otisburg. And I really like that. It's like, because every time because when I first played Arkham City and I looked at the map and I saw that, and it's like, Otisburg? Otisburg? I can't help but as soon as I saw the word, and right here, the word Otis, I just immediately go, Otisburg? And I can't imagine the guy who played Otis still probably gets that to this day. Otisburg? Dude, Otisburg? It makes me laugh, man. So uh, and uh, and of course, Luthor has no qualms about sending a missile to destroy most of California in order to use the rest of the surviving landmass to seize control of it, control over it. And of course, he's utilizing the two military missiles, one to go to California and the other to go to Hackensack, New Jersey. Very random place, but whatever. Not caring that Mr. Tessmacher's mom lives there, and it's like, I don't know. It's like, this dude has no qualms to kill. This is Lex Luthor to a T. It's like, I don't know. Sucks to be her. But Superman thinks like, oh, the disarming code will be in the lead trunk. He opens it, sees the green kryptonite, and wraps it around Superman's neck and pushes him into his pool. And they go off to watch the festivities, as because he figures that if Superman tries to start one missile, he cannot be in two places at once. So he make contingency plans. So Ms. Tessmacher made Superman promise to first save his mom from the missile heading towards New Jersey first, if she saves him. And of course, he makes sure she steal a kiss because, like, I know you won't let me do it afterwards, so might as well have the moment while seize the moment while I got it. So she pulls off the chain, tosses it in a sewer grate, which is like almost perfect aim for no reason. And keeping his promise, he flies off, stops the missile heading towards New Jersey. Unfortunately, the other missile heading towards California, which ironically, while Lois is on the West Coast doing like a story, and Jimmy's at the, I don't know if it's the Hoover Dam or just like an ordinary dam, but it caused a catastrophe where both of them lose their lives, and this wrecks Superman. And so he flies up, and of course he hears the words of his birth father about, you know, not messing with the course of history, but damn all that. So for this one time, he wanted to do something for himself. So he flies and rotates the Earth backwards to reverse time. And yes, we all know, even the hardcore Superman fans all agree, this is the dumbest thing ever, because by physics wise, would not work. You know, of course, we got in the comics these days where characters can just go through time, or just time manipulation, or even somebody like the Flash who goes through time, you know, a handful of moments. And of course, by using the Speed Force, but that wasn't a thing yet. So, not like it can't be done these day and age with Superman, where he can possibly, with the help of the Flash, possibly tap into the Speed Force and utilize his time travel that way, but not, because this is the only time ever that we will see Superman actually reverse the planet to reverse time, because it does not work that way, because it was very dumb. But he saves Lois and Jimmy's lives. He flies off, captures Luthor and Otis, literally plopping them into the prison. He takes off his wig because, of course, it's like a fake ball cap thing, because Richard Donner could not convince Gene Hackman to shave his head. It was already like a tough nut to crack, because he also had a mustache, but he landed on the mustache. But, you know, actors, man. So Superman flies off, winks and smiles at the camera, and the movie ends. Still to this day, despite the couple of issues that we all know about, like reversing the time of the planet, that kind of thing, this movie's still S tier in terms of quality film, and easily the benchmark of all superhero films after it. Just like the character is himself, who is the blueprint of all superheroes that will come after him. We will not get any of these characters that we know and love without Superman being the first one. And that's why he deserves our respect. And is like the benchmark of how we should treat each other. I'm not saying we won't have any disagreements, but it should be healthy disagreements where we walk away understanding each other a little bit more rather than fighting amongst each other like, toddlers. But yeah, that was Superman the movie. Next week I will cover Superman 2, which I still thoroughly love. And after that, Superman Returns and Man of Steel. And of course, between all that, I'll also be covering another Superman comic, which I already did Superman for All Seasons comic review, which should be up on my YouTube channel, by the way. So check that out. Let me know what you think. But besides all that, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Let me know what you think. What is your favorite Superman movie? What is your favorite Superman comic? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And who's your favorite Superman actor? Yeah, besides Christopher Reeve, all the other people who ever played Superman, which ones were your favorite? And yeah, and I will see you guys later on tonight as I get back to some FF7 Rebirth. And yeah, other than that, have a great weekend. Peace.